As of right now, the latest volume of Classroom of the Late Light novel is Y2 Volume 8, and if you are not a regular viewer of the channel, then let me tell you that the full human translation of Y2 Volume 8 is available and you can download it from the link in description. With that said, this video is about my thoughts and feelings on the first chapter of the volume, and without much delay, let's dive in. So we start with the prologue of Kanzaki, and I didn't expect this. Kanzaki having met Atsuomi Ainakoji, although there was a foreshadowing on it. I think it was around volume 9 where Ichinose was talking to Kanzaki and she said something along the lines of, "Kanzaki-kun, what was it you said? Having power and not using it is something only a fool would do?" Now that is not the exact dialogue. The exact dialogue is something similar, and it was so far back that I guess most of us didn't even pay any attention to it. Because to be honest, at that time I was just binge reading all the volumes, there was so much to read, but it's good to know that there were hints about it. And then we start the chapter 1 intro with the Ainakoji group that doesn't have Ainakoji in it. And there we once again saw Ainakoji's resolve. He knows the best is to not get involved since it's only going to hinder his potential plans for changing classes in the future. And then we see that Ainakoji hasn't given up on going to Kyoto, which makes me feel bad for him. Even Kei disregards his wishes of going to Kyoto, but as he said later on, any place for him would be good enough. I mean, he was in the accepting stage after all. And then we see Ainakoji's inner thoughts on Kei's academic ability. And it's not far-fetched to say that she right now is in the bottom tier of the students. Like later on we see that Kei scored 56 while the lowest was 53. So there's definitely a need for a tutor. Anyone except Ainakoji. So who would it be? Yosuke, Keisei and Horikita were what come to Ainakoji's mind, but let's have a look at the whole class and see who's the most fitting. Firstly, let's see how many academically good students do we have. Starting with Horikita, Keisei, Koinji, Yosuke, Michan, Matsushita, and I think that's it, right? I think these are all the students who are at least scoring 80 plus and are good enough to be a tutor. So let's kick Koinji out from this list. And I don't think I have to give a reason, like Koinji as a tutor to Kei? That's as ridiculous as it can get. Moving on, Matsushita is also someone I think we can easily remove just because she's Kei's friend. And I don't think Kei would be able to seriously study if her friend is the one teaching her. Like they will be studying the first minute and then the second minute they will be chit-chatting about God knows what. So Matsushita is out of the list. And the next one that I think we can remove is Yosuke. I know some of you might be thinking of him as the first choice, and yes, I do agree that compatibility wise Yosuke would be the first choice, but there's more to it than compatibility. Consider this, if Kei had to score good and Yosuke would be her tutor, then they would have to spend time together, which would in turn will give birth to a lot of rumors. Doesn't matter if they will study privately or publicly. However, if it's private, then the rumors would be much more common than public. Like imagine a scenario where Yosuke is teaching her privately by going to her room or vice versa, then if she gets noticed even a single time, then Kei's reputation would go down the drains. So that's not an option. So Kei joining the public study group might seem like a good option, but I think that would create some awkward moments there in the group from time to time. So while that is possible, it also does not seem ideal. And now we are left with Horikita, Keisei and Michan, and the two most likely options according to me are Michan and Keisei. Yes, not Horikita. And it's not that Horikita and Kei would be incompatible or something. They both have grown and are mature now, and it can very well be Horikita, but it's just that if you would ask me to choose two out of these three, then I would go with these two. They seem more likely. For example, Michan, she likes Yosuke and wants to get closer to him, so how can she do that? Well, by getting to know about him, and what better way to do that than taking advice from his ex? Which by the way would be a terrible option in real life, but it's light novel, anything goes here. I mean from Ainakoji's perspective, this would help both of them, Kei as well as Michan. But how Michan sees Kei is another matter. And that brings us to the last option, Keisei. And I'm sorry if you get hurt by this, but imagine if Keisei ends up being the tutor to Kei, which means they will become sort of friends over time, right? So what would be common between them? I mean guys, if Ainakoji leaves the class, it doesn't mean Kei and Ainakoji would break up. But imagine in a world, Ainakoji breaks up with Kei and then Kei ends up joining the Ainakoji group, and what's common between them? Common between all of them. Ainakoji left them all. And I mean Kei even got paired up with Akito for the school trip. Coincidence? I think not. Is that a foreshadowing? Nah, I'm just joking. Don't worry about it. On the list of things that might happen in Classroom of the Elite, this is significantly lower. Trust me. So moving on, we had pseudo break into the top 10 and then the rankings for the students. And overall, Horikita's class surpassed Ichinose's class in class average. Like, can you guys believe it? Ichinose's class, and it doesn't have to do anything with Ichinose, it's the whole class, which is kind of unbelievable, but I guess the expulsion of Sakura had more positive effects than we all thought. And after it, we finally come to giving the personal rankings to other students, which was quite amusing nonetheless. First of all, Ainakoji gave first place to Hirata. Now that's a really deserving ranking. If it wasn't for Hirata, then this class would have been long gone. And it's good to see Ainakoji acknowledging that. Now at this point, I think it's important to mention that Ainakoji already kind of knew that this list has something to do with the trip and possibly for the group creation. Again, we the readers already knew about the situation, but the students don't, except Ainakoji and maybe some other students who might have figured it out themselves before it was announced. So Ainakoji is making this list with that in mind, and that's most probably the reason we don't see Kei in the top of the list, because when I was reading I was like, where's Kei? One of the top spots, right? Because I can bet that Ainakoji was on top of Kei's list. But I understand Ainakoji's wish of spending time with students other than Kei. And I'm glad that they weren't in the same group. Otherwise, they would be together 24/7 and I'd rather see Ainakoji having different experiences with different people. However, the second place went to Kohinji. And of course, ability and contribution wise, he's way ahead of everyone else. But putting him in second place, when you know that this list would be used in some way to make groups, and when you also for a fact know that you will be the only person to give him such a high ranking, not only in your own class but also in your whole grade, and since you will be the only person to give him this high ranking, it could somehow increase even if a fraction of chance of you both getting together is just crazy to me. Like, we still don't know the method school used, but still I wouldn't take any chances with Koinji. But gladly that didn't happen. And after the usual situation of Sato hitting on Ainakoji in front of Kei, we reach part 4 of chapter 1, which is the best part in chapter 1 in my opinion. And these were my thoughts when reading it. Ainakoji receives a message from a person, and here I'm thinking, who could it be? And I'm like, let's read ahead. And then I see this, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Amasawa. And then Nanase was also there, so I'm like, yeah, okay. And then Amasawa goes on to tell that she was stopped by Nanase, and Nanase insisted on coming along. And I'm like, yeah, typical Nanase stuff. Maybe she was just being curious and stuff, nothing really important. And then Amasawa said this. You know a lot, huh? So you were curious about me and did a little investigation. Well, I'm okay with having a stalker as long as it's you. It got me thinking. Was Ainakoji the one collecting information? Surely not, right? Maybe he asked for someone else's contribution? Tsubaki perhaps? But I can't think of Ainakoji asking Tsubaki to keep an eye on Amasawa, and as I'm thinking this, I'm also reading ahead. And then this. I was giving a report to Ainakoji senpai. And I swear to God, I did not read the next line, and in my mind I went, wait, Nanase, you were the stalker? And my reaction was just like Amasawa. Like, when you look at it, it was so obvious. Amasawa mentioned how Nanase was following her, and then we got to know someone was collecting info about Amasawa. Like, everything was there. The person, the question, the situation, the answer. And I don't know how I failed to connect the two. Well, in my defense, it was 3 in the morning, but still I was dumbstruck for quite some time after that. And then the very next dialogue. I mean, Amasawa, you don't know what you have done. When Classroom of the Elite gets more popular, there would be a lot of fan arts flying around the internet. Looking forward to... Well, moving ahead, one of the important line. You're like a knight protecting senpai, huh? We'll get back to it later. And then Ainakoji said that Amasawa could go to a normal lifestyle if her parents are celebrities or powerful people. Do you think that would happen? Seems unlikely, but then what would be the conclusion of the character named Ichika Amasawa? Maybe this, or maybe something else. Speaking of which, well, what happened next? Let's go through it. So at this time, I was reading and I was nearing the end of the PDF. Since I was reading it when only the trial version was out, I didn't had full chapter 1. So I'm aware that it's about to end, and I'm thinking to myself that they will just have some small chat and then they will go their separate ways and the trial version will end. And then I read this dialogue. Despite repeatedly being vigilant against Amasawa, there are times when she is strangely entangled. In order to confirm that, I decided to dig a little deeper. I forgot to say it, but the school trip is this week. And I was like, what? What is Ainakoji digging deep about and why the mention of the trip? And then it got stranger and stranger because here I am at around time between 3 to 3:30 in the morning. It's like total silence and I'm just reading this with this unraveling sensation going on like now I know something is off with Nanase, but I don't know what it is and I want to know what it is instantly. But for that I have to read and this cold sensation of the mystery unraveling is just killing me. Like, tell me what it is right now, I can't wait anymore. I just can't explain the feeling. It was similar to like when I read Classroom of the Elite volumes for the first time. You know when everything Ainakoji did always got revealed at the end of volumes and it would lead all of us in surprise? Yeah, that sort of feeling, but not exactly. And then this. I see. It wasn't it, Senpai? Please enjoy it as much as you can. School trips are the true charm of the school life, you know? That's my intention. It feels strange after all. Whether she knew about the school trip or not, she should have something to say to me. Yet, Nanase isn't showing any signs of such a thing. It's almost as if she's completely forgotten about it already. Is there something you'd like as a present? I stopped Nanase and tried to dig into the matter of the school trip. And at that point, every line felt like it was testing my patience. And it 100% was. And after some dialogues, thank you very much. As Nanase said so and tried to leave again, I strongly urged her to stop. Nanase, can I ask one thing? Yes, what is it? And I'm like, finally. The matter of Amasawa, the matter of the school trip. Even if normal students can't see the relation, Nanase can. No, it would be even strange if she couldn't. Okay, come on, what is it? I'm just waiting for the thing to come up. Despite worrying about me, you haven't spoken of your worries about the school trip at all. And then, all of it connected in my mind. At this point, I lied down for a bit and thought about it all. Everything that we have been told about Classroom of the Elite, everything from the start, it just broke like that. White Room, Ainakoji's enemy, his father, Sakishiro, the threat of expulsion, nothing. At this point, I decided I don't need sleep, I need answers. But lo and behold, the PDF ended in a few pages. And at this point the full volume wasn't out yet, so there was no chance of reading except to wait for 2 or more days. That was so frustrating at the time, but there were some cool moments like this one. Nanase was confused but she was about to open her mouth right away and then no words came out. Can't think of an excuse. It's almost reminded me of this scene. And then Ainakoji goes on to say if he was earnest then I probably would have been expelled already. Mentioning Sakishiro in his sentence, and you know what? He was 100% right. So much so that I wondered in Year 2 Volume 4 why Sakishiro's plan was so childish. Like he brought a taser to take Ainakoji with him? Come on, if he was really serious, here's how it would go. Ainakoji reaches the place where Sakishiro was and then there would be a boat ready to take Ainakoji to White Room. And then Sakishiro pulls out a gun and points it at Ainakoji and then says, "You are going with us." And if Ainakoji refuses, shoot him in the leg or something and then get 15 to 20 guards to take him with them, which I think wouldn't be necessary. Like if he ever pulled that out, Ainakoji maybe would accept it. So that I think would have been the easiest way to get Ainakoji to White Room. And that part of chapter 1 ended with this. So now let me put it into perspective. There was a theory a while back that what if Ainakoji's dad just lied about Matsuo? What if he wanted Ainakoji to come to this school as a final test for his abilities? Or if I go a little bit deep into this, then like you remember Ainakoji's dad said that he wanted Ainakoji to lead Japan and stuff, and a person can do that unless that person knows how to blend in a society or how to lead people. Basically social skills and social intelligence. And Ainakoji didn't had any experience in that. So for him to be the perfect, he needs to learn them, and that's why the school is perfect for him. But there was only one problem to this theory. The existence of Nanase. Ainakoji's dad can lie about Matsuo, but why would Nanase? Even my thoughts on it were, Nanase is a clear contradiction to it. But now that Nanase is involved, it means that the things about Matsuo and his son can totally be fake. Which I'm glad it is, but wait. Is Matsuo's son even real? If Ainakoji's dad planned this all ahead, then the existence of Matsuo's so-called son Ichiro can also be fake. I'm just saying all he needs to do is just say the butler to lie to Ainakoji, and that could very well be possible, but what I am more interested in here is the identity of Nanase. Who is she really? She's not from the White Room. All we know is she has some kind of relation to Sakishiro. Otherwise, Sakishiro wouldn't give her such an important task. So the first thing that comes to mind is father-daughter relationship? Because I can see that happening. And do you remember his line to her at the end of Year 2 Volume 3? Something about going back to where they belong, which was quite odd. So I believe Nanase is either his daughter, most probably, or daughter of someone very influential. Let me know what you think about her. And about the White Room, well, there was a comment a while back. Let's have a look at it. So it's from Mihir Savla. Let's read it. So here is the theory I had before reading the volume. Okay. Advanced Nurturing High School is a White Room activity for Ainakoji to check if White Room students can survive the outside world. This volume pretty much confirms this. Well, if you look at it, then White Room and Advanced Nurturing High School are kind of the same. They both are trying to create geniuses that are meant to lead Japan. But one is more serious than the other. And I do agree that it's like checking or letting the White Room student live in the outside world. Social skills are important after all. Ainakoji was sent to Advanced Nurturing High School by White Room to check if he can live in the outside world normally. He himself wasn't aware of this activity in the start though. Not necessarily to check if he can live, I would say. Why did White Room make such expulsion threats? Because if they let him live normally and didn't come after him, it would be suspicious. He's supposed to be a White Room masterpiece. I would also add that if they don't come after him, then he would do only the bare minimum in the school, which is not the goal of the White Room. Why him? Because he's the ideal White Room product. If he cannot live outside, no other student can. Plus, he pretty much perfected everything even as a kid. There was nothing left for White Room to teach him. Okay. Why do I think this is true? My defeat in this school will prove that White Room education isn't perfect. Did Ainakoji just assume that him not getting to class A will mean his father will give anything about him failing high school and stop White Room completely? In truth, Ainakoji caught up with the plan of White Room and Advanced Nurturing High School and figured out that if he fails in this school, that means he will prove that White Room isn't ideal environment and the White Room plus Advanced Nurturing High School project will fail. White Room will shut down and he will save all the White Room students from suffering. Well, I think there were too many assumptions here. Ainakoji saying this doesn't necessarily mean that he has caught up with the plan at that time. It's simple. All he meant was if he got defeated, then him being the masterpiece of White Room would send a message that there are students who are better than the White Room students, since the best lost. And because his father thinks that other students here are inferior to him, losing will be a defeat of his father and his life's work. That I think was the intention, and I don't think that Ainakoji losing would in turn lead the closure of White Room, because on the contrary it could also turn into a sort of competition. Is what I would normally say, but now that we know that both projects are under government, things might not be that simple. For that he makes a perfect class and decides to transfer to the weakest class in year 3 and he won't hold back after that. Yes, I agree and I think everyone agrees with it, right? Because it has been hinted so much in the previous volumes that there doesn't seem any other possibility. And if Kinugase sensei somehow makes a fool out of all of us and it turns out Ainakoji meant something else, then that would be a sight to see. But honestly and practically, Ainakoji will change classes in year 3 and he will go to Ichinose's class. That's how things will unfold, most probably. Even in this volume and previous ones, he says things like all threats of White Room were just fake to confirm it from Nanase and the Mystery Man. Even Sakishiro says, your father sent me here with your abilities in mind. Yes, those threats seem to be fake. And these are my thoughts on it. You are right on most of the things. So then let's go to part 5. Sudo comes in Ainakoji's room and what do you know? Surprise, surprise, Ainakoji and Kei are together. Moving on, I don't have a girlfriend, so basketball is all I have. I don't know how to respond to those words. Same here, I don't know how Ainakoji would respond to it. And then we hear Sudo's resolve to propose Horikita, which we all knew was gonna fail. Still props to him for his courage. And then I really enjoyed this scene, Kei secretly listening to them and then Ainakoji telling her what she should have done in order to hide it. This was fun. And the scene after that, where Kei and Ainakoji made a bet about Sudo's proposal. If Kei wins, then Ainakoji would buy her a Christmas present of her choice. And if Ainakoji wins, then Kei would do anything that Ainakoji says. And what surprised me here were the comments. Like seriously, a lot of comments were that Kei shouldn't have promised this to Ainakoji because Ainakoji could use it for breakup and tell her to forget him as part of the bet when he will change classes. Like people, there's so much wrong in that. First of all, do you think Ainakoji would do that? Out of all the ways he could break up, will that be a way he would even consider? No, that's possibly the worst way to break up. And it's not that Ainakoji would do that, but the fact that thinking Ainakoji is gonna win this bet. I thought we were all on the same page. But really, after the volume, your comments are what I enjoyed a lot. Thanks everyone for commenting and liking the video, and do let me know your thoughts in this video, and do hit the like button if you enjoyed. And with that, we have finished my thoughts on chapter 1 and how I felt about it. Thanks for watching till the end, and I will see you all in the next one.